Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question for you, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good and bad.
Okay, I know the feeling.
Yeah. The good is I got a new fancy toy.
Okay.
I bought a new computer.
Oh, I was going to say you got a Megazord.
Oh, yeah, I wish.
Someday I would like to get the original Megazord. I think that would be cool.
I always wanted the Megazord and the Dragon Zord so you can put them together. Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be great. Oh, I would really like one of those. Dang it. Why?
But you didn't get a Megazord. So what did you get?
I got a new computer.
Yeah.
And I built it over the weekend, and it was nerve-wracking, and I may or may not have screwed something up, and I won't know until I know. It's one of those things where it's like, well, this might have screwed something up, but there's really no way to tell until it fails.
Yeah, so really you'll find out in a few months when your computer starts catching on fire and then you lose out on hundreds of dollars.
Right, something like that. But I mean, like, all in all, it's good because I got it together. It's working great. It's very pretty and it works very nicely. Bad news is when I went to go check my because I went and bought it and used a credit card to buy it. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I should check my credit card so I can start figuring out paying it off and everything. Sure. Somebody stole my credit card number or something.
What?
Now, there was a charge on there. It was just one charge. Well, it looked like two, but what it was is somebody tried to buy something online and have it shipped to their house.
Sure.
And that website that they used saw that my credit card information didn't match their address.
Yeah.
So it got charged and then immediately gave the money back.
Right.
So it caught it right away. Anyway.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye on your transactions. You'll be fine. It's
been a few years since I've had any sort of anything similar to that. Mm. And every time that did happen, my bank caught it and they or not my bank or whoever, my provider caught it, and then they reversed the charges, sent me an email saying, if this was you, let us know.
Right.
And
luckily, because even though it's so easy for somebody to steal your card info, it's not that hard to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Anyway, that concludes our identity,
our fiscal responsibility talk.
Yeah.
So two things actually related to that. I have a thing related to you buying a new computer because you built that computer.
Yep.
I just bought a new 3D printer.
Yes.
And I had to build that. Mm-hmm. Unlike my old one, which took about 30 minutes to put together. This one took me the better part of a day.
Yeah.
It took about 11 hours. I watched. Right. So I like to, whenever I do something like this, I like to have a movie playing in the background. Mm-hmm. One movie ended up being not nearly enough.
Oh, right. That's right. You did mention this.
I watched
movies. Yeah.
Alien.
Yep.
Aliens, Alien 3, Predator, and Predator 2 in the time it took me to put together this thing. Of those, Alien was the only one I had seen before. So I got to for the most part see all of those other movies, and it was pretty good. Yeah. I very much enjoy half watching a movie and half doing something else. Sure. It's one of my favorite pastimes.
Yeah, it's nice because I don't like sitting down and watching movies as much anymore because when I'm at home, it's just too many distractions. There's other stuff I can be doing.
Sure.
But playing a game and watching a movie, I'm happy.
Definitely. So I put that together. That was a whole lot of work. I'm not 100%. I don't 100% have it up and running yet because there was a lot of calibration stuff that I had to do, and I kept having issues at the beginning. I got most of it done. I've gotten a few things printed, and they turned out really, really good.
Yeah.
In fact, you're holding a miniature in your hand right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's like of a werewolf, and the fur on it is really good.
It's real good. It's from the Humble bundle that I got of miniatures miniatures and terrain that I got a while back. So I printed a few things on it, and they turned out really good. However, there are a couple things like my Ichi miniature. The way that miniature is set up, it needs certain supports, and for some reason, the supports don't. They keep causing issues with this printer. So I'm going to try a different program to set up the file with different supports.
Sure.
And see if that turns out differently.
Yeah.
But it's just been frustrating because a few times I've tried printing a bunch of miniatures and then halfway through, or not even halfway through, like half an hour into the print, into the like 5 or 6 hour print, I'll look over at the thing and everything will have torn itself off of the print bed and it's just sliding around. So, so once I get it all calibrated and everything, and once I get it all going, I guarantee this printer is going to be amazing. But just so far, it's been frustrating because this one has not been as user friendly as the original printer was.
Yeah, but no, the quality of it is definitely better because
definitely,
like, again, this is like a little werewolf, and he's like he's kind of leaning on a log, and you can see like the bark of the log and everything. So like, I mean, it's a good model. So like, you know, hats off to the model maker, but the printer, like, you know, the detail came through really nicely.
Yeah, it's real nice. So yeah, expect some cool stuff with that in the future. Also related to your possible, you know, not identity theft, but like you know, credit card theft and stuff, slightly related to that. So I was able to get my arcade cabinet computer connected to Twitch, and I was able to actually stream something the other day.
Sure. It
was in the middle of the night, and I don't think anybody was even on. But I managed to stream a game. I got audio working. The audio sounds a lot better than when we would do arcade streams before because I have a dedicated microphone now instead of just trying to catch the room's noise or whatever. But for some reason, ever since then, I've gotten several emails saying that somebody else logged into my Twitch account. I don't have any like vital information on my Twitch account. I don't have a credit card or anything on there. I don't think there's any way they could get any of my personal information from there.
Sure.
But I've gotten a couple emails that were like, you had a successful login for your account from like Vietnam.
What?
And, okay. I've also had
did you change your password and such?
I did change my password. I'm also going to try to set up, like 2-step authentication or something.
Yeah.
Where you have to like send a text or something like that.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Well, before we get into the episode, I do want to say one thing. We have a new patron on Patreon. He's not only a new patron, he's a new top tier patron.
Oh, snap.
We're talking about Edward T. Thank you so much, Edward T. You are awesome. Thank you. Like, seriously, people like you keep the show going. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah, we really appreciate it.
So hopefully, Edward, you enjoy all the content that's up there already. I'll be, if you send me, I already sent you an email with some questions and stuff. If you send me some information about your character, I will write about your character for my fantasy fiction.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and a disclaimer, we do not use the Patreon funds to buy 3D printers.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, no. I have yet to actually, we are making a profit now, but I have yet to actually I have not paid myself any of the Patreon stuff. Right. It's all just sitting there.
Yeah, we're still trying to find ways to use it to improve the show and everything like that.
So I will until I literally cannot come up with any way to put the money back into the show, I will not use it for anything personal. It's all all going to Patreon related stuff.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, we just talked about buying 2 very expensive pieces of equipment.
Right. And hey, let's be honest, we're not making enough money to afford either of the things that we just talked about.
We appreciate what we get.
Yes, absolutely.
We have like paid off the
all of our equipment's paid off, all of our hosting's paid off. It does feel really good to not feel like this podcast is purely a drain on my bank account.
Sure.
You know what I
mean? We don't have to worry about that. And so that way we can focus on just doing it.
Right. And sure. I mean, hey, a little bit of inside baseball here. We are by far the least popular podcast on our network, but we're still making more money through Patreon than a lot of other Patreons are.
Yeah.
So we're making enough to get by and put some money towards more better stuff for the show. Yeah. So we are very, very thankful to all of our patrons.
So we should maybe what we should be putting that money into is like somebody to do networking so we get more people.
I mean, that's true, but I feel like that would require more money than we're getting in.
That's true.
I would love to be able to pay someone to do that. I would love to hire people to help our show, but I feel like that would require more than we're getting. And so we're not at that point yet.
Sure.
There is a plateau that once we get to a certain point, it will be worth getting someone to do that. But at the moment, I'm not confident enough in my ability to get that set up to invest in it.
Maybe there's a way to just pay somebody to set stuff up for that.
Yeah, maybe.
Get a nice network going so that I just on our off time we can just fiddle with it and add stuff to it. I don't know.
Yeah. There is, I don't know if I mentioned this on the actual show, but there was a listener that contacted me about making us a website.
Oh, sure,
like
yeah.
a dedicated website.
Yeah.
And when he first contacted me, like, I was thinking, yeah, sure, I would be willing to put some Patreon funds towards this because, you know, that is something I've been meaning to do for a long time and I still haven't done it. So
Right, yeah.
I was prepared to pay, you know, depending on the price, pay for someone to do this. And it turns out he's doing it for free because he does it professionally and it would cost way too much for our budget. So,
and you know, and I'm sure with his talent, he, you know, because we wouldn't really need anything complicated, he'd be able to slap something together easy enough.
Yeah. So keep your eyes out, listeners. I guess sometime in the future we may have may have a website. We may not. It may not fall through or for whatever reason. But hopefully it doesn't, and hopefully we have a dedicated website soon. Because I've been meaning to make us a dedicated website for, I think I can say years. Yeah. By this point, I think that is technically a true statement.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah. All right. Well, we've had enough stuff, probably a lot of which I will cut out before this goes out. You want to go ahead and jump into this episode?
Sure.
So, sorry, just one more quick thank you, Edward. Thank you for being a patron. Thank you, all the rest of our patrons. You guys are great. You're awesome. Yes. Seriously. All right. So, Jeff, I want you to imagine that a friend of yours has invited you to go see, there's a show in town.
Okay.
And you don't really know much about this show, but you go with your friend, you trust their judgment. You go to the show. You sit down in the audience. It's a big auditorium. It's dark. The curtain rises and there's like some mist that like comes out over the stage. And then there's like lasers are shooting off in the distance and everything. Somebody takes some damage from that. And then, and after a little while, this figure steps out of the mist. And at first you only see its silhouette. Its silhouette is fairly large, let's say. You see some protrusions, maybe wing-like, possibly tail-like. Who knows? Yeah. And this individual comes out, and they're wearing all black, and they've got a little pointy goatee, and they like point at something, like they point at some furniture over on the side of the stage, and it like rises up and like does a little spin. He like pulls out like a big metal ring and like moves it, you know, so there's no strings or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And then the thing lowers back down, and then he has like a woman come out. She like floats across the screen or like across the stage. He does a similar thing with the metal ring. Oh, no strings there either. And then this person comes into the light, and you see that it's a fairly tall, scaled individual. And it starts looking out into the audience, and it says something spooky, like, you know, I am Dragonis the Mysterious. Ooh. I am going to read the minds of everyone in the audience. And then he points at one person, and he says, "You there, you had eggs for breakfast this morning." And this man stands up and he's like, "Oh my gosh, how did you know?" And then he points at someone else and he says, "Your grandpa just died." And they're like, "Not my grandpa." And then he says, No, I mean, your uncle. "Yeah, my uncle did die 6 months ago." And he's, "Yes, I knew that." And then he points directly at you, Jeff. And he says, "I know where you want to go."
What? Yeah?
You know where you want to go?
Where's that?
The Dragon's Hoard.
How do you know?
The Dragon's Hoard is the name of a nearby bar. That the performers here frequent. So you were hoping to go and get some autographs.
Oh, yeah. Dang it.
So today's magic item was submitted by Potato Plunderer via email.
I love potatoes.
And yes, and this item is actually from the 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide. It's been in a few editions Dungeon Master's Guides, in fact. But it's an item that I don't think I've ever used. And it does stuff that I did not realize it did.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I guess I've never been interested enough in this item to know what it does. The item is the Ring of Mind Shielding.
Yeah, and I think it's like the name itself. You would just assume what it is. It's like, okay, protects you from like enchantments or psychic damage or something like that.
Well, I mean, even so, I was thinking like it protects. One of the things it does do is it protects you from like scrying or detect spells and stuff.
Yeah, like detect thoughts, things like that.
But it does more than that. Okay. So while wearing this ring, this is an uncommon ring. It requires attunement. While wearing this ring, you are immune to magic that allows other creatures to read your thoughts, determine whether you are lying, know your alignment, or know your creature type. Creatures can telepathically communicate with you only if you allow it. So the first feature, pretty much what I thought it did.
Right, yeah.
You can't detect if someone's in a different form. You can't tell. You cannot use magic to determine what their original form is. You can't determine their alignment. Not that alignment really does anything in this edition.
Yeah.
Detect lies doesn't work. Zone of truth doesn't work. Can't read your thoughts and so on. Also, you can use an action to cause the ring to become invisible until you use another action to make it visible, until you remove the ring, or until you die. So even if a ring of mind shielding has a specific appearance, nobody can look at you and be like, whoa, he's got a ring of mind shielding.
Right.
Let's be suspicious. Because you can just make it so you're not wearing a ring.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you can hide the fact that you have something that's hiding your thoughts. So if somebody's like, oh, I can't read his I can't read his mind or whatever, they're not sure exactly why.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool feature.
Yeah,
but
that's nice.
There's one more feature. I never thought it would have this. If you die while wearing the ring, your soul enters it.
What?
Unless it already houses a soul.
What?
Yeah.
I feel like we've had an item on here.
We've had a few items on that do something like that. You can remain in the ring or depart for the afterlife. And then Potato Plunder put a little side note here, if there even is one.
Oh.
As long as your soul is in the ring, you can telepathically communicate with any creature wearing it. A wearer can't prevent this telepathic communication.
Oh.
So, not only does this kind of preserve your soul, but also it could provide a plot hook.
Yeah.
In that you find this ring, and now a creature can speak to you. And as long as you're wearing the ring, I guess you could just take the ring off. But as long as you're wearing the ring, like that thing can talk to you.
Right.
You might not know where it's coming from.
Sure. I want to say there was it was like a suit of armor, I think, that we had on here once.
Yes.
It was like a suit of armor that if you died in it, you would go, your soul would remain in it or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that was. But yes, that was an item we had.
It was like, if you died, it automatically cast gentle or gentle repose or whatever, maybe on the body or something.
Something like that.
There was something to that effect, but then we were like, oh, it'd be cool if you found this suit of armor and there was somebody's soul in it, and that sort of thing. I'm like, that's neat. But yeah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I know. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So this item is a very easy way for a dungeon master to put some sort of a mysterious villain into their game, and then it removes a lot of the ways that you can game the system, I guess. Like you if they don't want you to know that this person is a villain, it is very easy to give them this ring, and then you don't have a way of determining that they are the villain.
And then if they manage to defeat this villain and they're like, oh, sweet, nice ring, I'll put it on, then the villain can be messing with their heads.
That is so good. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. It's just I stuff like that where there's I love intelligent items or stuff of that nature because of stuff like that, where it's you could really mess with a player and their character. Yeah. Because only they hear it, and they can't not hear it because of this ring specifically. So you just pass them notes every once in a while. You're like, oh, there's a voice in your head that says this.
Sure.
It's and I'm wondering, the soul trapped in the ring, if they have perception of any kind?
That's a good question. I'm also wondering, is there a way to force the soul out of the ring?
Sure.
Because if you have the ring and there is an evil wizard soul in it or whatever, can you exorcise that soul, or do you have to destroy the ring in order to destroy that soul?
I wonder if you know the nature of the soul in the if you identified it enough to where you're like, oh, this is a ring of mind shielding, it houses a soul of somebody who died wearing it.
Sure.
You could just cast True Resurrection or something like that.
Yeah,
and it would bring them back.
They could choose they could choose not to come back. You can know if you're ever, in order to revive someone, they have to be willing to come back. But I don't know why someone would refuse to come back from the dead if their alternative is being in a soul or being in a ring.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I don't know if there's any magic items aren't indestructible.
Yeah,
as far as I know.
I don't know.
So
I imagine a DM could, if the DM wants it to be possible to get the soul out, they can make a quest out of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is a really cool item.
Yeah.
I'm very much a fan of this.
Yeah. It's uncommon, so it's not like, crazy. It's not crazy.
It's not super rare.
Yeah, it's not crazy powerful because like it just does some like protective stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, heck, the players might, or like you might not even be planning for that there to be many like mind readers or something in the campaign anyway. So like, it's only as powerful as there, as many as there like are, things with like telepathy and stuff.
Right. This is one of those items that I think is explicitly better for an NPC than it is for a player.
Sure.
I mean, I doubt there are many campaigns where it is important for the players to hide their creature type and stuff like that.
Sure.
I'm sure there are situations where it might come up.
Yeah.
If the players are trying to do like a heist or something, but I just think that it is much more common for there to be a bad guy that is in disguise than because the players are generally on the offensive. They're generally going to the dungeon to go fight the bad guy and so on.
And when you're trying to disguise yourselves, you can roll poorly for your disguise check or something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas the DM can just say like, okay, the NPC is disguised at this DC.
Sure.
They can decide how well or poorly they're disguised.
Yeah, I just think like it is because of the way that the majority of games are run, the majority of adventures are set up. I don't think it's going to be a very big moment when the bad guy figures out that someone is in disguise or when the bad guy finds out that a player is lying. Right. It is going to be a much bigger moment when the players have been working with this guy for a long time and then they find out, oh, he's a doppelganger.
Right.
Or, oh, he's a dragon in human form or something like that.
Yeah.
I can think of several adventures where the bad guy turns out to have been in a disguise the whole time. For example, in the Age of Worms, I won't say who it is, just in case there's anybody out there that's playing this 3.5 adventure. But there is an important NPC that does turn out to be a bad guy, in disguise that has been using an alternate form for a very long time. So giving them a ring like this would be very, very advantageous for the DM. Whereas for a player, probably less so. There might be a time where it comes up, but I really don't think this is going to be a common. This is probably an uncommon item because bad guys doesn't matter how rare their magic items are. For players, however, a player isn't going to be getting much of an advantage from this, so it would be a bit pointless to make it a super rare or legendary item because like who cares? You know what I mean? It's not going to make. It's not going to... Comparing this to like a Holy Avenger or something, I'd rather have the Holy Avenger 9 times out of 10 because most games are not going to be set up in a way that this is that advantageous.
Yeah.
If so, it's once a campaigton.
Right.
Probably.
It's one of those things you forget about, and then when the DM's like, okay, he reads your mind, you're like, nah,
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's a great item. I was very pleasantly surprised when this was submitted. We don't usually get published items sent in. We would love to cover. I mean, we covered the apparatus of Quellish a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
A couple of the very first items we covered on the show. We covered like the alchemy jug and the decanter of endless apple juice.
Decanter of endless apple juice.
I like when people submit official magic items, because it's like this is something that this listener really likes.
Right.
I'd love to see what it is they like about it and talk about it and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a cool item. So that'll do it for the Ring of Mind Shielding. Once again, thank you, Potato Plunderer. That was submitted via email. So Jeff, if anybody wanted to submit magic items for us to talk about, or questions for us to discuss, or stories for the funeral pyre, how would they get those to us?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord.
Yep.
The link you could find on our Reddit or Facebook, or you can email us and ask us for the link.
Yeah, just contact. If you can't find it, contact us and we'll get you set up.
Yep.
So yeah, before we go any further, we have a giveaway today.
Oh, we do.
As always, we're giving away a copy of Chapel on the Cliffs, courtesy of Goblinstone. Chapel on the Cliffs is a great low-level 5th edition adventure, once again made by Goblinstone. Goblinstone is a group of content creators based in the UK. They make a lot of great products. I know Crit Academy has been giving away products of theirs for almost as long as we've been a show. So they Goblinstone is great. They have lots of award-winning adventures and such. So Chapel on the Cliffs is one we're giving away. So Jeff, who is our winner of Chapel on the Cliffs today?
Actually, our winner today is Edward T, our new Patreon.
Whoa, winner.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. Yes.
Or patron. Or Patreonian.
A lot of people refer to their patrons as Patreons.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's in any way official or not.
Right.
But I refuse to use that.
Patronians.
Patronians, yes. So yes, our new Patronian Edward T has won the copy today. So congratulations, Edward T. You should be getting that in your email within the next few days or so. And
another disclaimer: that wasn't a bribery situation.
No, not at all. That is an indication of how few people we have on the list.
Right. Yeah.
That when someone gets in, it is very likely that they will win within the next couple weeks.
Yeah. Your odds are really good when you enter.
Very, very good.
Because we don't get a lot of people all at once.
Yes. So please enter this drawing.
Uh-huh.
And actually, Jeff, how would people enter this drawing?
Send us an email at InterPartyConflict@gmail.com with the subject line Chapel on the Cliffs.
Yes. So please enter this drawing. Get your friends to enter this drawing. Anybody that you think could benefit from having this great adventure.
Yeah. Even if you're a player, just reading an adventure.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know, like it's still interesting. It's still fun. Like reading an adventure, or like if you have any desire to maybe get into DMing, one of the ways to do it is to start reading adventures, pre-made adventures, because it kind of gets you into the mindset of what you need to do to be a DM.
Absolutely. We had
which is something I need to do because like I'm trying to write adventures without ever really reading them.
Yeah,
you know?
no, it's a big help. A few weeks ago, we had Will Hughes on. We talked about reading game books as literature.
Right.
And that is definitely a thing that, like, reading adventures was definitely a thing that I would do. And it's I think it's really the first step to becoming a DM.
Sure.
If not just becoming a DM, becoming a good DM is reading how other people do it so that you know how to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, it's a great adventure. Congratulations, Edward T. Once again, email us with Chapel on the Cliffs in the subject line if you would like a free copy.
Yep.
You know, you are most likely going to win very soon. So yeah.
Odds are good.
Yeah. And then also I want to tell everybody about our Patreon. Like Edward T here, you can become a patron if you go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. We have a lot of cool rewards on there. We've got fantasy fiction that I write every month. We've got bonus episodes, like a monthly bonus podcast that we do every month. We've got outtakes. We got so many outtakes every month or so.
Too many outtakes.
I put up. You will get so many notifications at a time that is guaranteed to be not convenient for you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry about that. I do it the way I do on purpose. So it's. Yeah. I wish there were a way
he wants to annoy you,
to momentarily not make people get all these 20 or 30 notifications, but I think our outtakes are fun. I think there's
I get you want to do it in batches.
Yeah.
But there's no way to do it in like actual batches. It uploads it individually.
Right.
So then it gives everybody individual notifications.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a setting.
There might be a way. I still haven't looked into it. Don't call me on that. But we've got some cool stuff. Also a monthly Roll20 game on there. If you get the highest tier, it will guarantee you a spot in there. And also, if you're the highest tier, I will write about your character, which this month I hopefully will have it written by the time this episode goes out. This month I will have written a story about one of our patrons' characters and possibly Edward T's character in the future. So
nice. So
thank you to our patrons that have been helping to keep the show going so far. And if you want to join the Patreon, go to patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. So we got some cool stuff on there. Even $1 a month helps out the show and gets you some cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And then just one last thing. Check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Crit Academy at critacademy.com. Justin, Ian, and Brandon make new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. And D&D Character Lab, Garen and Dan make characters every week and then pit them against each other and debate whose is better. And then Brute Force and Ignorance, they are on hiatus, but they just announced they will be making some new episodes sometime soon, possibly a new campaign, however.
Okay.
So check them out and see what stuff they've got coming out in the future.
Sure.
Let's get to some questions, Jeff.
Okay. Our first question comes from Quinn1978 on Discord. What do you think about a character offering out-of-character opinions about what the party should do when that opinion is contrary to what their character would want to do?
Yeah.
So me as a player has an opinion or some advice or something, but it's not something my character would share.
Yeah. I don't think this is exactly the example they're using, but as an example, let me put forth the party comes across like a puzzle or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the party is just not getting it. However, the player that plays the big dumb barbarian
Right.
thinks he knows what the solution is. So that player might say to the other players, hey, maybe you guys want to try to do this, even though their character might not know the solution.
Sure.
Now, I think we've sort of talked about that particular topic in the past. This I think they meant less about like puzzles and stuff and more about my character hates undead, so my character wants to go fight the undead that's over to the left, but I, the player, think it would be better to go to the right.
Yeah. So like, yeah, like it's like your party has like overall goal, or you're supposed to be stopping the bad guy or something like that.
Sure.
Your character sees the undead and would definitely want to go fight that undead, but the player knows like if we don't go this way, we're not gonna catch the guy in time or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you stick with what your character would do, or do you try to suggest the other option or something?
Sure,
like that?
sure. Which would you say is the way that, just as a general rule, what should the player do?
I don't know. Whatever's the most fun.
Yeah.
But
Okay. That's actually a really good point. Go on.
I struggle with this personally because I've a couple times last few times I've played D&D. I've played with more beginner character. Well, more the players that I've been playing with are more on the beginner side.
Yeah.
But I was playing a character that wasn't intelligent, was basically a barbarian type, dumb barbarian type. It's actually a lizard folk.
Oh
with,
yeah, yeah.
Low charisma and intelligence and stuff like that. So I try to play him with the personality of like a golden retriever or something like that. You run
Sure.
around chasing his tail sort of thing.
Sure.
So I was playing a not an intelligent character.
Yeah.
But we'd be getting into situations where me as an experienced player, I'm like, we should do this. We should just do this. This is what we need to do. We need, or but I tried really, I did my best to not, I didn't want to break the immersion.
Sure.
I didn't want a backseat game, because they're new players, I wanted them to experience them their own way. But it was really hard. So
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe next time if I play with newer players, I should try to make a character that is a little bit more on the intelligence side, at least, if not not necessarily a character that's because I'm the most experienced player, I'm going to play the leader of the group. But
Sure.
maybe a character that wants to be the leader, but isn't necessarily I have a character where she is she very much likes to lead the group, but she's kind of evil. I made her neutral evil. So
Okay.
her demands are not what anybody would want to do. So
Sure,
no one's
sure.
going to listen to her direct. They're not really going to take her advice, but I'll still be able to say things out loud that somebody might hear and go, oh yeah, we could do that. I mean, not that way. I mean, we're not going to slit their throats, but we're at least going to go in that direction.
Right.
That sort of thing. So yeah, it's I don't want to I don't want to tell somebody how to play a game. That's all about making your own decisions and stuff like that. But I want to be helpful, but still be in character. So it is tough.
Yeah.
But again, just try to do something that's going to be the most fun. So the most fun for those newer players is to just let them do what they're going to do. As frustrating as it might be for me, but that's my problem.
Sure. Yeah. I do think the best way to put it is do whatever is the most fun. I hadn't even thought of it that way. I was gonna say do what the player would do.
Or do the character or the player?
Do what the player would do.
Sure.
You're the player.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it might not be what your character would do, but you're not the character. You can change what the character wants to do if you ever want to.
Yeah,
however, the motivation for doing so should be, it's going to be more fun for us to do this.
Yeah.
If you understand that your character wants to do something that might be bad or might be unfun, then don't do it. Do what the player wants to do.
Sure.
And if it is the most fun, then that should be what the player wants to do to begin with.
Yeah. And I mean, with the dumb barbarians chick, you can always oops, he stumbled onto the
exactly.
Oops a daisy. Like he swung at the undead, but then missed and hit where he knew the secret door would be or something like that. Where the player knew the secret door was or something like that.
Right. I don't think a player should ever be penalized for playing a dumb character. I mean, like when there's a roll or something, yeah, sure, go by whatever the intelligence is on the sheet.
Sure, yeah.
But if it comes down to the player wants to interact, you should never say, no, you can't do that because your dumb.
Character's too dumb.
Exactly.
It's like, you can't solve puzzles because your intelligence is under a 10. That's not a thing.
Exactly. There's always a way to describe it in a way that people get lucky sometimes. Sometimes the dumb character is the only one who's able to see the answer because everybody else has already brushed that aside because they think it is more complicated than it is.
I think there's the idea of the idiot savant or, they're just you might be really good at one thing, but really bad at everything else. And that's acceptable. So they're really dumb, but they know doors. I don't they can find they know how doors work because they bash through them all the time because they're a barbarian or something like that.
Now, I mean, the player should find a way to role play that lack of intelligence. It shouldn't be, you can't do that because you're intelligent. It's, you have to do that a different way because you're unintelligent.
Yeah. You get a little bit more creative with how to solve the problem so that it's not just I figured it out with my brain.
Right.
I just came up with a character concept. It's a barbarian who is he's a connoisseur of doors. He bashes through so many doors that he has opinions on them. Okay. So it's he'll bash through a door and he'll be like, yeah, that was oak. Yeah. All right. So
he sees the type of door that he's been wanting to bash through his entire life.
Oh, can I please? Somebody's no, it's unlocked.
Dang it! It's like that video of the guy who's seeing a train go by and he's going crazy. Honks the horn or pulls the horn. He's like, yeah.
He gets so excited over the train. It's just a particular type of train he hasn't seen before or something. Yeah. I don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned being a connoisseur of doors. There's a Star Trek podcast that I listen to called The Greatest Generation. And they go through every episode they started with Star Trek The Next Generation. Now they're going through Deep Space Nine. And the character of Worf, he shows up in both, but he's mainly in Next Generation. And they came to the conclusion fairly early on that he does not understand doors because there are several episodes where there will be some sort of a weird thing that happens and Worf just stands at the door with his phaser out looking at it he just does not understand this door.
Right.
And there's also a lot of jokes they make about how poor the security is on the ship. And it's because Worf is the head of security and he doesn't understand doors. So he doesn't understand door locks and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a neat idea.
Yeah. Cause it's always the scene of Worf and two other security guards, going up to somebody's quarters or something. And then he sort of just stands at the door for a second.
Right.
And then the door opens and whatever.
Yeah. So I've definitely encountered this type of situation because like you were saying, oftentimes I'm playing with a lot of new players, and when playing with new players or inexperienced players, it is very easy for the person with the most experience to inadvertently become the leader,
right? Just
by virtue of the fact that nobody else knows what to do or they don't know that they should be doing something.
Right, yeah.
And there will be times where I'm not playing a character who is built to be the leader, but I'm the player who knows the most about getting the game running.
Sure.
So there will be a time where the party is just sitting around and they're being like, well, what should we do? And I, as the player, I know we should probably go do this thing because that's where the adventure is. But my character might have very strong opinions otherwise. Like I gave an example of the character that knows the most, or that hates undead. I've played characters that hate undead, and I've had to say to the rest of the players, hey, my character wants to go this way to go fight some undead, but as the group, we should probably go this way instead. Because I do want to tell the other players, we got to be doing something, guys. Yeah. Somebody needs to make a decision.
Right, yeah.
But I don't want to be the one that makes all of those decisions.
Right.
So I try to encourage the other players, hey, your character wanted to do this thing. We should go do this thing, even though my character has their own agenda.
Yeah.
But I don't want the whole campaign to be Gabe's character's agenda.
Right.
Because my character is just one of many characters in the group.
Yeah. You actively don't want to hog the spotlight. And
Exactly.
Stuff like that,
but
so.
when everybody else is refusing to take the spotlight,
Yeah.
I have to, if not take the spotlight myself, I have to push someone else into the spotlight.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
So.
So that's why I think like you should do what is most fun. I think that again, that's a great way to put it.
It was the most fun for everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I don't know. I don't ever think that you should be a slave to what your character wants to do.
Right.
If you think that your character does have, like, if you are trying to do what your character wants to do, you can always reframe it so that, yes, my character wanted to do one thing, but maybe my character is now interested in this other thing. Yeah. Try to come up with a way that your character would want to do that if you insist on making that your motivation.
So yeah, there's like two paths. One is the undead that he really wants to kill, and the other is the I don't know, the bad guy that they're chasing or something like that. And like, yeah, your character would normally want to just go after the undead, but like, you should go after the bad guy. So you can turn that into like a character development thing. Like,
sure, maybe
after the fact, your character goes, oh, maybe I don't need to hunt undead anymore or something like that. Like just
maybe
like have some sort of, make something up that it's like a little internal struggle with the character. It's just a way to add some flavor to your character. So they're not one note of like, all I do is kill undead and that's all I do.
Yeah.
Now there's like, why do you kill undead? And like, would it be more important than stopping so-and-so or whatever?
Sure. I think I also ran into this problem when I was playing. I had a character, the Shoulder. He was a human barbarian, but the whole point was he couldn't talk. All he could say was his name. All he could say was the Shoulder.
Yeah.
And in that campaign, I was similarly playing with inexperienced players, and I was not in a position where my character could express a motivation to anybody. It was very difficult. Luckily this campaign didn't go on for long because I had really written myself into a corner in that I could not communicate with the rest of the party.
So I'm picturing you at a computer typing out a story, and you're just writing the shoulder, and you're
Jeff,
like, dang it, I just wrote myself into a corner.
Well, spoilers for our April fantasy fiction for our Patreon. I did write an autobiography from the perspective of the shoulder. So you might think that sounds easy because it was literally just the shoulder, 1,000 times.
Right.
It was surprisingly difficult because I had to put in punctuation. I had to put in line breaks. I had to put in capitalization.
Right.
I had to make it look like it was actually a thing.
Yeah. I can't remember what the exact example is, but like something of that sort where like they actually wrote out something and then they went in and turned it into something else.
Okay.
It was Alt Shift X who does videos on all the like he would basically do like summary videos on all like the Game of Thrones episodes and like go into like the lore of the books and stuff like that. But one of his April Fool's Day episode was Hodor. Hodor is like he can only say his name Hodor.
Is that a character from Game of Thrones, if I'm not mistaken?
So you just say Hodor. And then so his April Fool's episode was all about Hodor, but it was Hodor. Like, but he like actually read out an episode and like, and then so he would read it. He would read the lines. So he was, I'm pretty sure the way he would do it, cause it makes, at least this is the way I feel like maybe I could do it. It's like you're reading something so you can get the inflection right.
Yeah.
But all you're saying is Hodor or the shoulder, the shoulder, the shoulder, the shoulder, the shoulder.
Exactly.
So like you can get the timing and the spacing right and everything like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, like it's hard for you to help the other players along.
Yeah.
When you can only say one word.
It was real difficult, but at the same time, sometimes the players need direction. So I did have to find ways to explain to the other players, like, hey, we should probably go do this, even though my character clearly couldn't communicate with the party.
Yeah.
Couldn't communicate that with the party. And I even kind of had to purposely make that something that was against what my character wanted to do, because I didn't want, I had chosen to give my character this drawback.
Right.
This inability to communicate was a deliberate choice.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want it to be, oh, the character can't talk, but I, the player, can just tell you what he wants.
Yeah.
That I didn't want that to be the case. I didn't, if there was a concept that my character wanted to get across, I couldn't just say it as the player.
Right.
I had to find a way to at least describe what my character is doing to communicate it to the party.
Sure.
There was even a time we were investigating somebody had been kidnapped or murdered or something.
Yes.
So I had to draw out what my character was trying to get across.
Oh, goodness.
And try desperately to draw it out and then draw arrows and such to communicate with the party. And they did not get it.
Yeah.
The players did not get it, which I guess to my credit, that's what happened.
Right. And like you I think you tried drawing it the same way to me without telling me what was going on, trying to see if like I could figure it out. And like I was like, I don't know. Like,
yeah. I mean, it was hard. It was a hard
I don't even know if I
thing
got
to do.
close. Like,
maybe not. But like it was that my character thought, because there was a guy that was giving us some like information that he wasn't supposed to give out. He was like some secret information from like a mob boss or something like that. And then we went back to meet up with him later, and he was dead and his wife was gone.
okay.
So my character was trying to get across the concept to the other players. I think they kidnapped his wife to get him to comply, and when he didn't comply, they killed him.
Yeah.
And so I tried, like, I drew a stick figure.
Right.
Then I drew another stick figure that was intended to be, had female indicators like a dress and long hair.
Sure.
And then I crossed out the guy, circled the woman, and then drew an arrow pointing away. And to your credit, to the rest of the group's credit, nobody got it.
Right.
And that's the danger of playing such a character. But that was a deliberate choice. Mm-hmm. It would have made the choice meaningless if I could just say, my character is trying to tell you he thinks that,
right,
this, and this. So I kind of had to purposely do things that were contrary to what my character would do, because I didn't feel right saying things as the player that the character was unable to communicate.
Wacky game of charades.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is one of the struggles of role-playing. When you're playing a role-playing game, sometimes you do have to do things that your character wants to do. Sometimes you got to do things your character doesn't want to do. I think that this is a perfectly legitimate question to ask. Which should I do? And I think it is probably going to depend on the player. It's going to depend on the situation. It's going to depend on the group. But in general, like you were saying, do whatever's most fun.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time you should do what the player wants to do, because the character isn't the one having fun. The player is the one having fun.
Right, exactly. So like if it's not fun sitting around because nobody else knows what to do.
Sure.
Then you can speak forward. And then, and I mean, you could always try your best to try to get it in your character's, like to tell it through your character, but in like a different way, not just saying it straight out, but like stumbling into it or something,
Sure. And I mean, depending on what type of a player you are, maybe you do want to always make the party do what maybe you do want to have your character be taking advantage of the rest of the party to do what they want to do all the time.
Sure. You might, your character you might be making your character to be manipulative.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as long as you are not being a jerk to the other players,
sure.
Do whatever you want. As long as it fits your group, go ahead and do that. As a player and as a DM, I feel like I would rather be in a party that is being manipulated by one player than to have a party that has no direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, it depends on the player, depends on the group, depends on the situation, but I would rather be doing something, even if it is serving one player's character, than to be doing nothing.
That's true.
And hey, if you ever notice this is happening, have your character stand up. Have your character say, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're always doing all this stuff that benefits you. take it up in character, have it happen in game,
Yep.
have it lead to more content.
Yep.
Yeah. And we've because this is a similar issue we've talked in the past about doing stuff, quote unquote, because it's what my character would do in a way that screws over the rest of the players. Don't take away from the other players' fun just because it's what your character would do.
Right.
Just, I'm just saying, just do it if it keeps the game moving. If it's going to make the other players mad at you, don't do it. If it makes the other characters mad at you, as long as the players are fine, do whatever your group is okay with.
Yeah.
Just remember, you're all friends. You got to be friends after the game is over.
Sure.
Don't be a dick just because your character is a dick. Unless you, the player, are a dick, in which case, don't do that. Don't be a dick.
Stop it.
Exactly.
Will Wheaton says, don't be a dick.
Well, yeah. Well, I was thinking Crit Academy says don't be a dick. Every episode, their player tip is don't be a dick. And here's how you can avoid that.
Right.
So I think that'll do it for our regular questions today. I know we talked quite a bit about some stuff earlier on, and that question lasted a good amount of time. But we've still got our social media questions for this week. Our social media question last week was, what is your favorite fantasy-themed joke or riddle? Do you recall what yours was?
Mine was the Game of Thrones Tyrion's joke about the jackass and the honeycomb in the brothel.
Yes. And that was pretty good if you hear the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. It's a thing in the show, but he never actually finishes it, and it's like a running gag that he brings it up, but then it gets like somebody like stops him or the scene cuts away or something.
But apparently in the book it does have an ending. There
it's a pretty clever joke.
We will not be saying it on the show,
right?
But
I mean, it's Tyrion.
Yes. And I think mine was where does a D&D character keep? Where do you write on your character sheet your kobold follower?
Yeah, it's under ammunition.
Ammunition, yeah. We only got a couple on social media, but hey, that's fine. I know this was kind of a I didn't expect a lot of responses to this one. So on Facebook, Justin from Crit Academy, he actually put a song, and it's not quite a riddle, but close enough.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are, I kill 2 dwarves in the morning, I kill 2 dwarves at night, I kill 2 dwarves in the afternoon, and then I feel all right. I kill 2 dwarves in time of peace and 2 in time of war. I kill 2 dwarves before I kill 2 dwarves, and then I kill 2 more. And it is from his troll shaman, Zelgadis.
Sure.
So
yeah, that's one of the jokes that the trolls tell in World of Warcraft when you emote. Like a joke, telling a joke or something.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty good. Yeah. And then Ivan on Facebook says, the party walked in. Sorry, this is one I like. I really like this one. I've heard this before. Ivan says, the party walked into a tavern. The barkeep asks, why do you carry your weapons around in a tavern? The party answered, mimics. The barkeep laughed. The party laughed. The table laughed. They murdered the table. It was a good night.
The table laugh.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think I've seen that one.
We didn't get any on Reddit. We didn't get any on Twitter. On Discord, Stiltskin Kupo 84 says, favorite joke, because he gave a joke and a riddle.
Okay.
Favorite joke, why did the wizard's girlfriend have a hickey? Because he was a necromancer.
Oh, got it.
And then favorite riddle, the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space, the start of every ending, the end of every place. What do you think the answer is?
One more time.
The beginning of eternity, the end of time and space, the start of every ending, the end of every place.
I feel like I might know this one.
I got this one pretty quick.
What is it? What is it?
It's the letter E.
Oh.
In fact, if you look at the reactions that I put on there,
oh, I see.
I found an emoji of the letter E.
Yeah.
And so I put that on there.
Oh, actually, I do have I have a riddle.
Oh, you do? Go for it.
Let's see if I can remember it correctly. My first is foremost legally. My second circles outwardly. My third leads all in victory. My fourth ends twice in nominee.
Oh, okay. I think I know the answer. Yeah. The answer is love.
Yeah, That's a riddle from King's Quest 6.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty. That is the riddle that the gate to the lair of the Lord of the Dead asks you, and you have to solve it. Like you find like a piece of paper from a riddle book that just says love on it, but you don't know the question, you just know the answer.
Okay.
But you find that like at the beginning of the game, and then that's towards the end of the game. You're like,
that's pretty cool.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat. But yeah, like that. I don't know. I listened to playthroughs of that game just because it's like the narration and the voice acting and the sound is all nice and soothing. And
Sure.
But so I have that's burned in my memory.
That's cool. And then just one more, and a little warning. This gets a little political.
Oh, sure.
Adam B on Discord says, favorite fantasy themed joke: the whole of the Brexit campaign. Oh wait, you mean like a funny joke? My bad. Sorry.
Jeez.
Yeah. There you go.
That's as far political as we'll get, maybe. Because
I prefer not to get political at all.
And I mean, neither of us are versed at all in like Brexit stuff. So like,
sure.
So we can't really speak to it in any way.
Yeah. So I'll just assume that was a good joke.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
All right. So then our discussion question for next week: does your group often play out camping? If so, how do you do it? Because we just just talked about playing out camp, making it interesting. I'm curious as to whether any of our listeners do that.
Yeah, because it is sort of a thing that, like, group to group might there's tons of ways you can play out camping. So yeah, it'd be nice to hear other people's suggestions.
Yeah, and I think we gave our thoughts on it when we talked about that. So we don't really have anything for that today. But hopefully some people out there have had some good experiences with camping, and if so, let us know. All right, well, I think that'll do it for our questions for today. But before we close out, let's wind down a little bit. Let's take a deep breath. Let's sit back. Let's remember those who have come before us, and let's toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Today's funeral pyre story was submitted by Mary Sue on Discord, and it goes as follows. If anyone deserves an homage at the funeral pyre, it's Eric the Bee. Conversationalist, companion, and scout, he accompanied Capo deep below the canopy of the plum groves of Fiolin to battle the lich Zothkira in the name of starving children. After discovering the location of Zothkira's phylactery and miraculously flying Stinger first in... Wait a minute.
This is actually a bee?
This is actually a bee. Sorry. I got halfway through this. I'm not going to read the whole thing over again. I'll go from this sentence again. So sorry. Eric the Bee is an actual bee.
Yeah.
And then I think Capo is the PC in this case.
Okay.
So sorry.
The bee is like a familiar.
I guess. A
bee as a familiar is
and
great.
there is actually a photograph of an artist's rendition of this character, and there is a bee in the picture.
Yeah, but that was more like a symbolic thing.
I didn't. Sorry, Mary Sue. It did not occur to me that this was an actual bee. So let me. I'll keep going from this sentence. So, after discovering the location of Zothkira's phylactery and miraculously flying Stinger first in a successful flanking attack against an opponent more than 30 times his size, he was unable to endure the brutal return volley of Zothkira's open palm.
Oh no.
Flattened and destroyed against Zothkira's own neck, Capo won the day, but Eric made the ultimate sacrifice for Capo and starving children everywhere.
Wow.
So I guess let's raise a glass in memory of Eric the Bee. And what is that?
Oh.
Clink. So I think that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Hoard, or stories for the funeral pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/interpartyconflict, on Reddit at r/interpartyconflict, on our Interparty Discord, or on Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about Friend Quest.
Friend Quest is our YouTube channel where we play video games.
Yes, and we, our Patreon has a reward, has a goal where after that point we will do an arcade stream. We already did this previously because we got over that goal and then subsequently actually dipped below it.
Yeah.
We are very close to being over that goal again.
Yeah.
So,
perfect excuse to do another stream.
Exactly.
If we get back over that again.
So if we get back over that again soon, hopefully, I'm going to have a week off in a few weeks. So hopefully by that point we will be over that threshold.
Sounds good.
So assuming we are, I think we'll do another stream.
Cool.
So whenever we do, we'll do another arcade stream at some point.
Yeah.
So check that out. It'll be, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Speaking of arcades, check out my side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. If you'd like to submit your own childhood memories of going to the arcade, record them or write them to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also head over to bit.ly/InterPartyConflict to take a short survey about our show. What you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hacker's RPG. So, Jeff, until next time,
buzz off.
It's a little antagonistic.
Yeah.